This is VSiN, the sports betting network.
Follow the money.
That's what I always say. You always follow the money.
Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Pauly Howard on VSiN.
Here we go. Welcome in. It is Follow the Money on VSiN, the sports betting network. We're live in downtown Las Vegas from the Circa Resort and Casino here for the next 4 hours, as we are every Thursday. Paul Charchian coming up in 30 minutes, Fantasy Football Hall of Famer for Week 10. Fantasy advice, but also player props that he likes for this week. And more importantly, for the game that we have coming up tonight, Pauly, it's a very sexy Thursday night matchup. Some numbers that I cannot get out of my head. First of all, the current numbers on the board. Ravens are a 6-point favorite tonight, and the total is now about 52.5 almost everywhere. It did touch as high as 53.5 earlier in the week. They are averaging 7.1 yards per play on the season. Going back to 2003, an NFL team has never averaged 7 yards per play for a full season. So what they are doing is historically good. Don't believe me? Well, Aaron Schatz, who runs DVOA, which has been an important metric for bettors over the years, he has numbers all the way back to the 70s. His story came out this week that through 9 games, the Baltimore Ravens have the 5th best offense ever per his DVOA numbers. Number 1, 2018 KC. Number 2, 2007 New England. Baltimore's number 5 on the list. So the first time they played, we had fireworks galore. Burrow was awesome, as he typically is, against this Ravens defense. More on that coming up. But Lamar is having a better year this year than he did last year when he won his second MVP.
He is plus 330 to have over 2.5 touchdown passes tonight. And considering what he did in the first game, that seems like a juicy price. So you're talking about 41 to 38, and he had 350 through the air and 4 touchdowns. So bank on them having 100 yards rushing. They can tie the record tonight if they do it again. That would be 42 games in a row. 43, excuse me. And then what they're doing on the air and what they're doing on the ground, and averaging 31 a game, and your stats are phenomenal. The question is, can you get stops here? But, you know, Sal Pal dropping great bombs yesterday. Harbaugh 8-0 on Thursdays at home, and 21-3 at home prime time. So he is, and they've also, as we talked about Monday, with good, the bad, the ugly, when you're talking about a good team, playoff team that they're playing, they take them out at home all the time. They always win this game, and they always do it by margin. Let's go back to what happened last week. Let's go back to what happened against Buffalo. You know what they did last year against Miami? You know what they did against Detroit, Seattle? And the beat goes on. So that's I'm full confidence that they'll get what they want offensively tonight.
No, I will say this. So it is alarming when you look at the Bengals' wins this year. They have 4 of them. Here are their victories. 34-24 at Carolina, 17-7 at the Giants, 21-14 at the Browns, and 41-24 last week versus Vegas. All 4 of those teams are currently 2-7 on the year. Now, you could very easily come back at me and say, well, Mitch, they probably should have defeated Baltimore the first time. And I would agree. Also, early on in the season, they should have knocked off Kansas City, but they didn't. It's all coulda, woulda, shoulda here.
Right.
So they have 4 wins, and they're basically fighting for their playoff lives. And tonight's a monster in terms of getting there.
Yeah.
Also,
Washington was a killer. Just get one stop.
Nope, never made a punt.
Get one stop, you win that game.
Now, what do you make of this? Great numbers, as always, VSiN.com, courtesy of Steve Makinen. And I wrote about this last week at the website because the early look-ahead number was 50 with the total. I thought way too low. Baltimore's 8-1 to the over. Now at 52.5, it's been going up pretty much the entire week until it did hit 53.5, buyback to the under. There have been 30 Thursday night football games since 2012 with a total of 50 or higher. The under is 22-8, 73.3%. AJ Makinen, VSiN.com. That is nuts.
Yeah.
That's a super high percentage, and yet I don't really care because I can't bet the under in this game.
I'm with you. Because Baltimore has Baltimore's just getting gashed through the air, and Burrow has been awesome going back, and he's second in touchdown passes, and his completion percentage is nuts too. So,
well, it's the perfect recipe for Baltimore to be 8-1 to the over, right?
Yeah. Elite
offense. Like, pick your poison. What are you going to try to stop? Lamar? Good luck, because here comes Derrick Henry for 200 yards.
I do like him under tonight. 91.5 is a big number.
Big number.
Remember, in the first game, they shut him down. It was all Lamar through the air. The 50-yard run to put him over came in overtime.
That's right.
So if McPherson makes that kick or you don't have that run in overtime, he goes well under his prop. So 91.5, even though he's delivered here in every game, is a big number. DraftKings has Henry to break the record, 10-1 over 2106 rushing on the season, and a touchdown in every game is plus 850.
I saw him minus $3 earlier today to score a touchdown tonight.
Wow.
That's gotten a little out of control, hey? But there's also this with their defense, right? Mm-hmm. The Ravens' defense, 14th overall in the league, 23rd against the pass. And teams have not really been able to run the ball. I would also argue and say, at this point, teams probably recognize that they're going to be getting into a shootout with Baltimore, so maybe they don't exactly try to establish the run that much.
That's fair.
And there's also, like, you cannot, the season that Burrow is having is getting lost. They are top 5 to top 10 in several key EPA categories offensively. They're top 10 overall in DVOA, and they're also 5th in passing. Burrow, 4th in total EPA, 4th in EPA per play, and 4th in passing EPA. Now, there's no Higgins tonight. Mm-hmm. Okay. But they also have other guys that I think are going to flourish. And that one guy I think would be Mike Gesicki, tight end. I bet him yesterday. And, Jamar Chase went ballistic the first time that these two teams played.
Yes, he did. He had 193 and 2 scores. He can't get 84 yards?
Oh, here's the thing, right? The Ravens are 32nd overall versus wide receiver number ones, and they allow 95.6 yards to the position.
Yeah.
He is going to eat in this game, in theory, all game, right? The entire time.
Did you read Bill Barnwell today?
I missed it.
He did something on the awards halfway through the season. He says, I know T.J. Watt's probably going to get it. He said, how about Hendrickson, Defensive Player of the Year? He's 12-1. Number 1 in sacks, quarterback hits, and tackles for loss. But when your defense is this bad, can you make a case for a guy? When they're 25th in sacks, 26th on third down, 27th in the red zone, and 25th in points allowed. I
don't think voters will.
Yeah, you can't stop anything here, although he's had a successful season from his standpoint, individual standpoint. But they can't stop anything right now. The Eagles' loss was horrific, what they did against them going up and down the field. And then, it's still the Raiders, but the Raiders go right down the field to start. And you had issues stopping them, too, when we talked about the Washington fiasco as well. So it's a lot of points, though. Can you win by 7, and it's a high total, even though it could be shenanigans, again, where it's something with Harbaugh where there's a long drive, go for it on 4th down, don't score, you look up, and then 7 minutes went off the clock and nothing happened.
What do you make about Yoshi Vash tonight?
I didn't look at him. I don't have an opinion on him.
I think that he's a guy to take a peek at. If that's the current number right now at DraftKings, 22.5 yards, Burrow's going to be slinging tonight. Mm-hmm. So it can't all go to Chase and Gesicki with no Higgins on the field. Again, he remains I don't think he's going to play in the game. I don't think he's been ruled out yet, but I also don't think he's going to play. So I'd maybe take a peek. I played an anytime touchdown parlay between him and Gesicki. I paid a little bit higher than 12-1. Sprinkle a little pizza money on there.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Little garlic bread on the side. So you can slice it several different ways tonight, right? With the overall numbers, Lamar Jackson as a single-digit home favorite since 2018 is 23-11 straight up, but he's only 12-21 ATS. On the flip side, Burrow, when he's a dog between 3 and 7 points, 15-2 ATS.
Unreal.
Incredible.
Yep.
He's also 14-3 ATS in his last 17 starts versus an elite offense scoring more than 27 points per game. All these numbers at VSiN.com. Burrow plays his best football in the biggest spots.
Yeah,
right?
They got to have it tonight. Now, you're not out of it if you lose, but now your adjusted win total's 8.5. Baltimore's 11.5. The Bengals are even money to make the playoffs, and they're plus 850 to win the division. The better bet is plus 125 to get a wild card. But you lose this one, and you're running out of time. And with your defense, you're going to have to outscore people. They're not dead if they lose, but again, they're running out of time, but they're also going to get bailed out by the fact that the bottom of the AFC is so bad. Like, who's going to get that 7th seed?
You going to play any field goal props tonight?
No, I can't.
No Tucker 1.5 over?
No, because it could be one of those games where you're going for it on 4th down, and it's a high-scoring game, and you're passing on field goals. So
I got to tell you, it's a light card for me tonight on this game, too.
Mm-hmm.
The Gesicki angle I like a lot. I think he'll have a big game. I have not bet Yoshi Vash yet. I would consider that.
He's 5-1 to have 300 yards passing. Can he do it again?
I don't mind what you said earlier about 2.5 touchdowns over that.
Mm-hmm. That's a good return.
I also don't mind maybe potentially laying some juice with Burrow to go over 1.5. I think I saw minus 145 earlier today.
Okay.
Well, now at DraftKings, it's as high as $2. Good Lord.
I've never seen this before. Will there be a scoreless quarter? Yes, it's 6-1. Oh.
Wow.
Yeah. So once we get close to kickoff, see if this gets back up there, and who knows where this goes off at with the total.
What about the side? Bengals +6.
I would take the points, yes.
So would I. That's the only way I would look.
Yep.
And this Baltimore team is incredible. I love watching him play. Lamar's playing the best football of his life. I'm not going to be surprised for a minute if he wins the MVP again this year.
Yep.
But that's a huge number. And Burrow, I mean, let's be honest here. It's a divisional matchup. And when you go back and look, Burrow's time in Cincinnati, and the Ravens have always had a really good football team for the most part. While Burrow has been in Cincinnati playing them, he has phenomenal numbers overall against this team. Again, I think it was last year when he went for 400 in one game and 525 in the other. Kills them.
This is a monster here. If this is Tampa, Atlanta again, and it's similar to what happened in the first meeting, some of the tickets you can cash tonight, well, a team score 40 points is +360. Each team to have a rushing touchdown and passing touchdown, and each half is 9-1. 2 rushing, 2 passing, 35-1. Touchdown and field goal each half, 14-1.
Touchdown, field goal by each team in each half.
Yep. Each team to have a rushing and passing touchdown, +185. I mean, all this stuff can add up, and this stuff is definitely doable, and it happened in the first game with the 41-38. So if you think it's going to be another crazy game, there's some big payouts here, stuff available, DraftKings and Caesars, if you want to do that. And the DraftKings menu, it's right there. Under all the game props, you can find everything.
Yeah. Yeah, if it's high scoring, some of these same game parlays are going to be off the charts. I looked at playing Jamar Chase specifically. Again, did not pay high enough. The best number I could find on like 10+ catches, 100 yards and a touchdown was like +575. Not appealing enough. But if you tinker on some of this other stuff, okay. Paul's going to recap last night's betting action and win some, lose some. That's coming up on Follow the Money. It's VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Coming up Thursday on Follow the Money, big show. Ravens and the Bengals preview, picks and props, and fantasy with Paul Charchian. Steve West, a meat man on soccer as well. Follow the Money weekdays, 4 to 7 Eastern on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Want to see who at VSiN is on a hot streak? Go to VSiN.com/picks to see all the selections and weekly leaderboard of VSiN hosts, writers, and guests. Become a VSiN Pro subscriber and get every pick sent to your inbox daily. Just head to VSiN.com/pro.
So, Pauly, have you had a chance to read the VSiN Daily yet?
Yeah, came in at 3 a.m. What's Bill doing up that late?
Well, rumor has it, it starts off with a 12-hour meditation session.
Then he just pours himself over film and live TV, really focusing and taking it all in. Bill's in with the biggest insiders, talking trade secrets, strategies, the whole nine, absorbing the info.
And then and only then can the writing process begin.
In Las Vegas, Bill's late night becomes your early morning. Wake up to the very latest betting insights in your inbox with the VSiN Daily. Sign up for free at vsin.com/newsletter.
last night?
Wow, winning.
Or was it a rough one?
Well, they can't all be winners, can they?
Loser! You're a loser!
Pauly Howard recaps the night in sports betting in Win Some, Lose Some.
Well, here's your big boy. Warriors plus 225 on the money line. Apologies, but Celtics went 19 of 54 from 3, and Golden State scored on the final 10 possessions. Hey, what are you going to do? And Buddy Hield went over plus money at the big 3. But that was, I don't care who's out, they still should have won that game. Good job by the Warriors. Great job by Curry with the triple-double. But sometimes bombs away is going to work against you.
I got carried out in that game last night. I was adding the Celtics live over and over when they were trailing. And they came back immediately and took like a 5-point lead. I'm like, okay, now I'm sitting pretty. And that lead vanished within 2 seconds, I think. I could not believe the final, 10 possessions?
I believe so,
Final 4 minutes?
Yep.
Everything went in or the Warriors' way.
Yeah.
That stunk.
Absolutely. Tough for the under, too. 70 points in the third quarter alone.
Yeah.
Knicks blew a lead. Hawks plus 225. Nuggets.
I'm telling you, by the way.
Yeah?
Something's amiss with this Knicks team.
Defensively or chemistry?
They're horrific defensively. It's not the same.
Yeah,
I don't like their depth. I hated that they gutted the team from last year.
Okay. Hawks plus 225. Nuggets plus 235. OKC blew a 16-point lead, and Westbrook had the game of his life. What are you going to do? Westbrook went off.
And the Nuggets were another team last night that they did everything right in the fourth quarter. And here's the thing. This appears to be real with Braun, the kid who is now the starting guard after coming off the bench the last couple of years. He's putting up Brown.
Yep.
Sorry, yeah, he's putting up awesome numbers every single game. I text JVT last night, most improved player. He's like, who the hell knows?
Mm-hmm. Pacers Magic over 220.5 up to 227, 118-111. Memphis, no Anthony Davis from 1 up to 4. Clippers under again, 217.5 down to 215. Beat the Sixers by 12. College hoops, Columbia. Who needs the 17? 11-1 on the money line.
Wow.
Beat Villanova. High Point, 21.5 up to 25.5. Won by 40. College football, Northern Illinois +1. Went off the favorite and won by 14 in Maction. Subscribe, be part of the team, VSiN.com. Our radio and podcast friends, you always want to see these tweets and videos. At Pauly Does Vegas on Instagram. Send them in, we'll put you on. Look at this where the dog comes out. Remember we showed last week where the dog brings his stuffed toys out and he sits on the deck? Here he brings his stuffed toys in when he goes eat. And he puts, hey, you want some? The stuffed toy and sit down. He brings the big fella out.
Yeah, gather around the dinner table here. That stuffed animal is 4 times his size.
Yeah, he comes out to eat when it's dinner time, and he brings his friend every time to eat. But hey, you can have some too. You can have some food, and he puts his face in near the bowl as well. But look at that. That's awesome.
Do you know that you ever met somebody who has a problem sitting down anywhere by themselves to eat? I know people who will not even go to a fast food spot on their own and eat.
Really?
They think it's bizarre to be at the table, sit down on their own. Isn't that, to me, that's strange.
I don't know. Yeah.
I guess I've done it my whole life, so.
I don't know. Get that. Lose some. Pistons +2 went off the favorite, lost on a buzzer beater. Bulls Mavs over 230.5 up to 236.5. No good. Likewise, Kings Raptors over 234 up to 237.5. Now look at this. One lose some. The dog refuses to let the cat in the yard. The cat trying to climb the fence? Get out of here. Brings him down. It's like, no, you can't do it. I'm watching you. Nope, can't do it. Trying to get away from him? No, absolutely not. You're staying over here with me. And he won't let the cat climb over the fence and get in the other yard. And he brings him down every time. The size is big there as well. All right, very good. So many sports in action. No better time to put the VSiN experts to work for you. Become a VSiN Pro subscriber today. Instant access, everything we do, every best bet, every host, every guest. 19 hours of live programming. In-game analysis, great breakdowns, power ratings, and the betting splits everyone loves. Start your VSiN Pro subscription today as little as $9.99. VSiN.com/subscribe. Keep them coming. Send in the Brad Pitt top 5 rankings, top 5 movies. Meet Joe Black. Good response. That Mike Palm is going to have that on his list next week when we do it. And also, you were saying people sent in Spy Game. I don't recall it. I don't know it. That was a very good movie. But again, Pitt's got an incredible resume, and we brought it up yesterday because of, in 1999, Fight Club got booed when it was shown at the film festival, and Fight Club, 7, list goes on, but the Ocean's 11, the great movies that Pitt's done.
A lot of people chiming in with California.
Mm-hmm.
I think he was a murderer in that movie. I think I actually watched it many years
ago.
I don't remember
it,
though.
Yeah.
I have to go back and check it out. I tweeted this out earlier today in response to a video showing why D'Angelo Russell was benched by J.J. Redick for the rest of the game last night by the Lakers. I'd cut him. And it wasn't just him on the court. Like, there can be bad stretches in the NBA of basketball. You're just like, oh, my God, this sport kills me. But there was a 3-minute sequence last night where he looks like the laziest human being in the world, and he only wants to play offense, and he wants to shoot the ball every time the ball touches his hands, and he has no interest in playing defense whatsoever. Mm-hmm. He was lost in space the entire time, and J.J. Redick was pissed after the game. And he kind of dropped the mic after a reporter asked him a long question. He's just like, I told you the answer right now. And that's how he walked out of the press conference last night. It was so bad that I think the Lakers pulled the press conference off their social media feed. Terrible look last night.
Did the same thing against the Suns. They blew an 18-point lead. He just comes down. As soon as he crosses half court, one pass, and the ball's supposed to move, and they're supposed to swing it, and they're supposed to be, get the open look, and he immediately shoots it. And it's soon away, catch and shoot from way out. You're not Curry. And they could have acquired Mike Conley, but for some reason they wanted this guy. So, yeah, once in a while he'll get hot. He can win you a game. And he had some good stretches there when the Lakers had injuries, but he's infuriating. And I cannot believe when you're talking about this type of cash that you got to question the effort at times.
Oh, it kills me.
It is. It does.
Yep.
It's just a joke. Come on, man.
I didn't see it live last night. But that's the kind of thing that I want to throw the remote across the room.
Yeah. Well, he does that all the time, though.
Yeah.
It's like I was losing my mind in the Phoenix game. You blow a big lead, just comes down right away. 5 seconds into the shot clock. Ill-advised 3. No chance to get a rebound. Leak out, run out the other way. Killing you. Mm-hmm. So good for Redick. Light him up, bench him, do what you got to do, but it's unacceptable to go 1-4 on this road trip, lose to the Pistons, and get blown out by Memphis, and LeBron looked great, too. Can't happen.
Not getting a lot of help in a game like that. How serious should we take the Warriors at this point? I get it. There was no Brown last night. No Porzingis for the C's. But they are off to a great start, and that was a really good win. They blew the lead, and they showed their resolve overall. Mm-hmm. And Curry was awesome. The pickup of Buddy Hield continues to pay dividends already early in the season. And they won the game outright. And they were with them pretty much the entire time in that game. They led huge at halftime before they blew that lead. And then when they did, they're like, okay, well, we're not going to miss in the final 4 minutes of the game.
I don't know. It's the pecking order is tough right now. I still think the Lakers are better than Denver. I still love OKC even though they blew a big lead. They're $1.50 to get the 1 seed. The Cavs are now plus 155 to get the 1 seed. Think about that.
Well, the Eastern Conference is absolutely terrible. And
because of what's happened with the Sixers and the Knicks, and Bucks are a disaster, right? So Cavs win again, haven't lost. Great job with the offense, and Boston between injuries and maybe some scheduling losses, and Cavs are younger. Celtics maybe, we're the champs, whatever. We'll phone in a game here and there. I'm shocked at the price, though. It's not enough. I think the Cavs do get the 1 seed, but it's not enough at plus 155. And the Warriors, they have a lot of depth trying to figure things out. I said they hadn't played anybody yet. It was a good win, but, Phoenix keeps winning. OKC's awesome. I just think it's a deep conference with a lot of good teams.
Well, to your point, this is a great tweet from Sean Grandy, who is the play-by-play voice of the Boston Celtics. When you look at the standings in the Eastern Conference, currently there are 2 teams over 500. That's it. Cleveland's 9-0, Boston's 7-2. Indiana and Brooklyn are each 4-4. Everybody else is below 500. The Warriors' win last night made the Western Conference 5-1, last night specifically, against the Eastern Conference. The West is now 26-10 in the first 36 interconference games, and that's why only 2 of the East 15 teams are over 500 on the year. The West, do you want to maybe factor that into your handicap on a daily basis? I probably would. For example, I had the Raptors last night, and by the way, I bet them live when it was tied at 21. I grabbed them plus 10.5. That's Eastern Conference versus Western Conference. They were leading almost the entire way to the end of the third quarter, and they got absolutely smoked, and I could not cover 10.5 when it was tied 21. And that's when I bet the game. So the West is just, they're smoking all these teams from the East. And the Sixers, I heard somebody on a podcast make the case now's the time to buy 76ers futures. I wish I could book 76ers futures. I want to pull a Scotty Tribuco and say, don't bet this team at any sports book. bet them with me. I'll give you a good number because you have no I'm already convinced with the crap that's going on with this team.
Oh, man.
It's so infuriating.
Russell is Mr. Delusional. Embiid's right behind him. I've done so much for this city. What are you talking about? Yeah. You haven't made a conference final. You don't play back-to-backs. I can't count on you from a conditioning standpoint and some of the stupid stuff you do in the play. That Knicks series, dirty play, out of shape.
Now Maxi's out for a long time?
Yeah, Maxi's hurt, sure. Paul, quit getting stuck in your feelings. And Paul George, they booed me. It was stupid. Okay, come on.
God. Up next, Fantasy Football Hall of Famer Paul Charchian on the program. We'll get into who he likes this weekend, player props for tonight and beyond. That's coming up here on VSiN.
And they're off.
Sports betting game with VSiN's exclusive betting splits. Stay ahead with real-time market trends and track bet percentages on any matchup. Then uncover the edge by comparing them to the amount of bets placed to find out where the sharp money is headed. Upgrade to VSiN Pro to access betting splits, live odds, line moves, power ratings, and in-depth game analysis. Go to VSiN.com/pro to join VSiN, the sports betting network.
This is VSiN, the sports betting network.
is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Every Thursday here at this time, Fantasy Football Hall of Famer Paul Charchian joins the program. He is with GuillotineLeagues.com. Podcast is called Fantasy Football Weekly, and he is on the Progressive Guest Line. Charge, good afternoon. How are things?
Great to talk to you again. Another Thursday that does not involve the Jets. Any Thursday in which I do not have to watch the Jets is an automatic win.
Or the Giants.
Or the Giants, for that matter.
Both of the New York teams.
Here we are. We're bringing the Giants and the Panthers to Germany. Why are we trying to agitate a country known for its retribution and itchy trigger finger? This seems like a bad idea.
Will you be up and watching the game on Sunday?
Yes,
of course.
I will.
Really?
Be.
Oh yeah,
I'm surprised by that.
I know. Well, I kind of have to, right? I mean, job obligation.
Okay.
And
it's also like 8:30 Central Time, so you'll be
right.
awake
It's not
anyway,
so bad Central Time. That's right. It's 8:30. I'm up anyway.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so McCaffrey, if he indeed does start this week and is going to give it a go for the 49ers against the Buccaneers, automatic start in fantasy leagues?
Well, okay, yes and no. And I'm the deep contrarian here among my colleagues on this. We don't know anything about anything with McCaffrey. We don't know, is his Achilles at 70%, 80%, 90%, 100%? Don't know. Do we know what Kyle Shanahan's plan for him is? Is he on a snap count? I mean, he should be. He hasn't played in 11 months, so 10 months, whatever. It's since the Super Bowl. He should be on a snap count, but how restrictive is it? I don't see him playing 20. I don't see him touching the ball 20 times.
Okay.
Most people do, and they're ranking him like he's going to have a major impact. But here's the thing. Jordan Mason's good. He's 5.1 yards per carry. There is not a reason to go from 0 to 100% on Christian McCaffrey. So I'm showing some caution. Now, for a fantasy use, everybody who's been waiting 12 weeks to move Christian McCaffrey from that IR spot up into your starting lineup, it's so tantalizing. I understand you got to play him. He's on the field. He's Christian McCaffrey. He's your first overall pick. You have to play him. Look, I get it. He's going to be in your lineup. I just think the more realistic outcome is that he touches the ball like 12 times in a timeshare with Jordan Mason. And Tampa can be passed on. They can be run on. I mean, you can beat them a lot of ways. They don't have to have Christian McCaffrey with 20 touches to go beat them. So yeah, but again, I'm in the minority here, and most other people are just like, yeah, absolutely, start him no matter what. I'm more like, I'll flex Christian McCaffrey.
All right.
Very good.
Fair
good
enough.
breakdown. What do we do?
We don't know.
What do we do with these quarterbacks and the rest of the teams now? Looks like Dak's going to be out for the year. And Lawrence is not only out Sunday, if he has surgery, he's done as well. So welcome to Mac Jones experiment now. What do we do with Jacksonville and Dallas players?
All right, for Dallas, to me, and again, I'm in the minority on this. I am deeply worried about CeeDee Lamb, and that's the main thing that people care about right now because nobody was starting any of the running backs. And, we look at Cooper Rush. Cooper Rush started 5 games 2 years ago for Dallas. And in those 5 games, I think they won 4 out of the 5, or they won most of them. And Cooper Rush was like non-awful. 191 passing yards is not very good, 1 touchdown per game. But here's the thing. Then their running game was awesome. Zeke and Pollard were just mashing people. And that offense went through the running game, and all Cooper Rush had to do was don't F it up. But now the running game's the worst in the NFL. Yeah. And Cooper Rush has got to go out and try to win games when he's got the arm of Christian Ponder. It is not going to end well. And for CeeDee Lamb in particular, you look at, there's a big enough drop-off in the efficacy of the entire offense and your quarterback. Look what happened to Tyreek Hill in Miami for that long stretch without Tua. He did nothing. And here's CeeDee Lamb on an AC joint shoulder injury with all of these things working against him and a Philly secondary that has gotten way, way better. I'm nervous about this. I got CeeDee Lamb at wide receiver 28 right now. Most of my contemporaries have him at like wide receiver 13, 14. I think Dallas could be sitting on like a 10-point game. So I'm really showing a lot of caution on CeeDee Lamb.
Okay. Jacksonville, Thomas, anybody? Running backs?
This is
gone?
What a bummer. I love Brian Thomas. I think Brian Thomas, and by many, many metrics, Brian Thomas has been the best rookie wide receiver. Better than Neighbors and a billion times better than Marvin Harrison is a whole other conversation. But now Mac Jones, I mean, the best thing you can say about this situation is that Mac Jones has a lot more talent around him than he had in New England, right? New England had a terrible offensive line. They had no receivers to throw to. The Jacksonville offensive line is not great, but it's at least okay. And he's got Brian Thomas, and he's got Evan Ingram, who's, quality guys. Gabe Davis might play. So at least he's got a little more around him. But obviously, it's a massive blow to this offense. If Mac Jones looks anything like the version that we've seen the past couple of years with the Patriots, it's just a disaster level outcome for the Jacksonville offense. And for this week in particular against Minnesota, Minnesota's pass defense had been pretty leaky. I don't trust Mac Jones to fix that. Their run defense had been awesome. And the best thing going for that whole offense in many ways had been Tank Bigsby. And you can't even start him against Minnesota because their run defense has been too good.
Okay, I want to go back to your comment about Marvin Harrison.
Yeah.
Are you afraid, like, long-term? Or are you just saying, like, this year it's been a nightmare for fantasy owners?
I don't like what I've seen this season, and especially in terms of separation, which hasn't been good. But the whole offense and passing offense hasn't been great with Kyler Murray. But he's had 2 good games. And in those 2 good games, he finished those weeks as wide receiver 1, highest scoring wide receiver, and wide receiver 5. But listen to the other 7 fantasy finishes in these weeks for Marvin Harrison among wide receivers. Wide receiver 82, wide receiver 19, wide receiver 24, wide receiver 50, 83, 47, and 53. That is disaster grade stuff. That gives you an automatic L. And of course, this week, he's got DJ Reed and Sauce Gardner and the Jets. I mean, it's a brutal matchup. I can't start Marvin Harrison this week. I've got him as wide receiver 38, which puts him out of starting range for most people because the Jets, it's the best secondary in football. And I don't see how Marvin Harrison suddenly comes to life and becomes a dependable receiver in this matchup.
All right, good breakdown. Follow the money here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Our guest is Fantasy Football Hall of Famer Paul Charchian. We'll get to his player props coming up in the next segment for tonight and this weekend. All right, so the Panthers just gave Chuba Hubbard a nice extension for a running back who's having a really good year, right, for a really, really bad football team. They also they were the first team to take a running back in last year's NFL draft, Jonathan Brooks. He's expected to play in Germany, right, and be active this week against the Giants. So what do you want to do with the backfield here?
Yeah, and by the way, Chuba Hubbard's had a really nice season, and I'll talk about it in a second, but 4 years, $33 million makes him the 6th highest paid running back in the league. You guys know who the 7th highest paid running back in the league is?
I would have no idea.
His backup, Miles Sanders.
Hello. Yeah.
They've got $60 million committed to the running back position, and they got to show for the $60 million. They got Chuba Hubbard and Miles Sanders. And the first running back taken in the draft is on the same backfield. Panthers, right? It's crazy. Chuba Hubbard deserves his money. He's been so much better than versions of Chuba Hubbard that we had seen in seasons past. He's 5th in rushing yards. He's 5th in yards per carry. He's 7th in rushing yards over expectation. And because of all that, Dave Canales has the luxury to bring back Jonathan Brooks very slowly, and I believe that will be the case. It might just be a couple of carries coming up in Germany, just enough to get his feet wet a little bit. And I think they're gonna just keep using Hubbard here. And the other part of it is there are a lot of running backs. So that first year back from ACL is not a good year. I mean, look at Nick Chubb right now running at 2.5 yards per carry. That's it. Gus Edwards' career never the same. J.K. Dobbins needed 2 years to come back from his ACL. So, yeah, I'm not expecting much of anything from Brooks both this week and even really long-term rest of the season.
Good. Thursday night football coming up and a lot of props with Charch in a second. If you ever get red hot betting and think your picks are worth money, Juice Reel changing the way sports bettors buy and sell betting advice. You and everyone else links their accounts into Juice Reel. All your history loads into the free app. Everyone's bets imported straight from the books. You're as good as your betting data says you are. Unlock the picks real talented bettors have their money on. Get paid real money when other people unlock your picks. Fully transparent betting advice from from real people, only on Juice Reel. Download for free, iPhone or Android. REEL. Grab your phone, download it now, get the app Juice Reel.
By the way, that point spread now is the Giants 6.5 on Sunday morning against Carolina.
Are the Vikings 7.5 now or 7?
I saw 7.
Okay, I think Lawrence has had a bad year, but I think still the difference between him and Mac Jones.
Oh, there's something there, I think. Yeah.
So, yeah, for sure.
All right, we'll continue up next with Fantasy Football Hall of Famer Paul Charchi, and he's on the Progressive guest line. We'll get his player props that he likes for tonight's game. It's a sexy matchup. Does he expect fireworks? And also what he's looking at for Sunday here in the NFL. It's Follow the Money on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
The world's largest sports book in Las Vegas is right at your fingertips. Hi, I'm Derek Stevens. I'm a lifelong sports bettor, and I'm the owner of Circa Sports. It's sports betting the way it should be, with transparent and high betting limits, tight money line splits, exceptional customer service, and more. Download your new bookie today at circasports.com. Start betting like a pro from anywhere in Nevada.
You spoke, we listened. Introducing the all-new VSiN Watch app. Now, you can watch and listen to VSiN expert analysis live wherever you are. Missed a show? No problem. Catch replays of VSiN's full lineup at any time. View highlights sorted by sport. Or use the search feature to find specific teams and topics you're looking for. And the best part? It's free for a limited time. Download the VSiN Watch app today. Available now on the App Store and Google Play. And join us on the Sports Betting Network.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Welcome back. We continue here. Fantasy Football Hall of Famer Paul Charchian. He is on the Progressive Guest Line. Website is guillotineleagues.com. His podcast is called Fantasy Football Weekly. Do we have official news yet on T. Higgins, by the way? I don't think he's going to play, but is it going to be like a game time thing where they come out the inactives 20 minutes before kick and they're like, yeah, he's not going to play tonight?
Yeah, and he's doubtful. And in today's league, doubtful means out.
I think so.
Just, it's like 95% rate. So, and even if he were active, can't start him in fantasy football. He hasn't practiced in 2 weeks, and who knows, any play could be his last, blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, not expected to go.
Okay, so let's assume that he doesn't play. It's a really high total for a 2024 NFL game. Charge. It did touch 53.5 earlier in the week.
Wow.
Down to 52.5, but you know what happened the first time they played? It was fireworks galore. Yep. Are you expecting the same thing tonight? And then if Higgins doesn't play, who do you want to latch on to for the Bengals?
Yeah, let's talk about this. When Higgins does not go, one player gets helped a lot, and it's not Andre Yoshivash. It is their tight end, Mike Gesicki. His line is 48.5 receiving yards. We're going to take the over here, and let me give you some data what Gesicki does when Higgins does and does not play, and check out the delta on this. His catches per game, Mike Gesicki's catches per game with T. Higgins are 2, without him, 5. Receiving yards per game with T. Higgins, 18. Without T. Higgins, 71 yards without T. Higgins. And both of the touchdowns he scored this year were in non-T. Higgins games. Now, here come the Ravens. They allow the third most yards to tight ends, 67 yards per game. 5 different tight ends have topped 61 receiving yards against Baltimore. And just as one other thing I'll mention, rookie tight end Eric All just suffered a season-ending injury, which frees up a couple of targets per game. So Mike Gesicki, over 48.5 receiving yards tonight.
Big fan of that. Mm-hmm. What do you want to do with Mark Andrews here tonight in this spot, too?
Yeah, Mark Andrews is really interesting. I was going to just lay off of Mark Andrews because there's a lot of problems related to volume mostly for him. He's got to basically needs to score touchdowns to do anything. Yep. But Isaiah Likely out. That changes this quite a bit. With Likely out, that frees up 20 routes and 4 targets per game. And if he gets, half of that, he runs 10 more routes. If Andrews runs 10 more routes and he gets 2 more targets per game, yet for a tight end, that really means a lot. That really just changes delta quite a bit. I haven't looked at his numbers, and I am interested in his anytime touchdown number. The Bengals have allowed 5 tight ends to touchdowns in the past 5 games, including 3 to the Ravens last time they met. It's just Andrews didn't get any of them. Kohler got 2 last time they met.
Okay.
That seems like that's not going to happen again.
Wow.
So I'm guessing the Andrews anytime touchdown is sitting. Let me see if I can guess what it is. I'm going to guess it's sitting at about plus 200.
You might be able to find it that high. The one book I'm looking at right now says plus 160.
Plus 160. That's it.
Yeah, so you might be able to find 2 to 1, but it could be a little sketchy. Too.
I don't love plus 160. Honestly, it's not terrible, but I don't love it there.
You want to lay 285 that Derrick Henry scores a touchdown.
Good God. Is that what it's at?
It's higher at some spots, yeah.
So can we just talk about his chances for MVP?
Yes, go ahead.
Please.
They're not 0, right? I mean, I realize it's been since Adrian Peterson, since a non-quarterback has won it. But right now you can get his MVP odds, I believe, are plus 2,000. He's on pace to have one of the greatest seasons in the history of running backs. Right now, he's on pace for 2,200 total yards, almost all of it on the ground, but I'm including some receiving yards in that as well. He's on pace to eclipse 2,000 rushing yards. And right now, let me see if I've got an amazing stat on him, if I can get it here. The highest ever recorded rushing yards over expectation for any running back in a season is, I'm doing this from memory, so I apologize if it's not perfect, but it's going to be really close, is 398 rushing yards over expectation on a full season. Derrick Henry has 3 more yards than that now at this stage of the season. We're halfway through. I mean, what he's doing is historic, and there isn't a quarterback who's just running away with this, as good as Lamar Jackson has been, and he's the favorite, and I totally get that. But man, I don't know if there might be a running back that's going to break the cycle. This could be it, right?
Okay.
I hope so. Very good. 10-1, by the way, to break the record for yards. Follow the money, Pauly and Mitch, VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Paul Charchian, our guest, Fantasy Hall of Famer, GuillotineLeagues.com on the Progressive Guest Line. How about some more props from a tight end angle?
TJ Hawkinson, Vikings, over 29.5 yards. It's a really low number. And I like his anytime touchdown, which is plus 280. There seems to be a presumption that he's not going to get much use, but he ran 24 routes last week in his first game back. And I could see that improving by 50% in his second game back. So if he's going to be running like 36 routes, I mean, that is a healthy number for any tight end. And let's remind people, Kevin O'Connell loves Hawkinson. Last year, he was the most heavily targeted tight end in the NFL, 8.5 targets per game. O'Connell will scheme Hawkinson the ball in any game. And against the Jaguars, good, not even great, just good level tight ends are having a ton of success. So let me give you Tucker Kraft, Hunter Henry, Cole Kmet, and Dalton Kincaid, just like above average tight ends. They are averaging against the Jaguars 5 catches, 70 yards, and a full touchdown per game. And with Mac Jones at the helm, the Vikings are going to control the game. They're going to have more scoring opportunities, more everything on offense. So, yeah, Hawkinson over the 29.5 yards feels pretty good here.
Now, how about Kittle? I think Kelsey was a bit of a problem for Tampa Bay on Monday night. Kittle can't
just
get
a little.
Yeah, Kittle can't get 55 yards.
Yeah, we're going over here too. And by the way, there's number 55.5 receiving yards. He's gone over this number in 4 straight games, 5 of the past 6. And over the past 5 games, Tampa ranks dead last in tight end defense, allowing 95 yards per game to the position. Now, I know a lot of you don't really follow tight ends that closely. You might not understand just how much 95 yards is to that position. That is massive defensive ineptitude. By way of comparison, the worst tight end defense all of last year allowed 64 yards per game. The Bucs are giving up 95 over the last 5 weeks. So here's tight end yards allowed by Tampa since week 4. And remember, we only need 56 yards to hit on Kittle's over. Baltimore's tight ends put up 92. Atlanta's put up 88. Baltimore, I have Baltimore twice here. Then it was 72 yards. Atlanta put up 104, and then Kansas City last week, 109 tight end yards allowed. So all these teams are skying over the 56 yards. No Brandon Ayuk's going to free up some extra looks. Kittle feels like a safe bet on the over on this.
So there's a lot of positivity here this weekend with tight ends. Let's go the opposite way. You think it's going to be a poor game for Sam Laporta Sunday night against the Texans?
Yeah, this is our tight end unders. We're staying with our tight end theme here. Laporta's been under 3.5 receptions 5 different times this year in 3 of the past 4 games. Detroit gets Jameson Williams back from his suspension. Man, that dude's a grade A moron. And that siphons off 5 targets per game. So Houston's the opponent. And this is the really important part. They rank number 1 by a mile in tight end defense. Houston's giving up 2.5 receptions per game to the entire position. They rank number 1 in yards allowed to tight ends, 20 per game. That's it. Here's a fairly direct comparison for Laporta against Houston. Earlier this year, Dalton Kincaid, Buffalo's tight end, played against Houston. These guys were taken near each other in the draft. Dalton Kincaid went first. Laporta went like 10 picks later in the draft last year. Dalton Kincaid had 2 catches against this Houston defense. So I like the under on receptions. The yards were interesting too, but I liked receptions more. It felt like a safer angle there. I could see Laporta maybe getting one long one, so I didn't want to do receptions as much or yards as much, but I do like the under 3.5 receptions.
Very good. Right. Awesome spot as always. Again, Paul Charchian. Website is GuillotineLeagues.com, and the podcast is called Fantasy Football Weekly. Thanks, pal. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, friends. Yep, we'll talk to you next week.
All right,
Bye-bye.
You're the best. Our all-new VSiN Watch app makes it easy to watch or listen to VSiN anywhere, anytime. For a limited time, it's free. Visit the Apple app or Google Play Store to download the VSiN Watch app. 24/7 access to the live audio and video streams. Watch replays of your favorite shows. Easily stream video to your smart TV and browse clips by sport, or use the search feature to find the specific VSiN expert insights you're interested in. Download both Apple and Android Get it now. Don't delay. It's awesome. Visit the Apple or Google App Store now. All new VSiN Watch app and become part of the team.
Great stuff from Charge there. Love the breakdowns. Love the numbers overall. Attacks it from several different angles.
Shocked at the Harrison stuff. I'm not a big fantasy guy. That is maddening because he went high in these drafts.
Yep. We'll dive into soccer bets for the weekend up next. Steve Wiss is going to join the program. He is all about totals this week. Find out which ones he likes coming up on Follow the Money. It's VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Sports bettors, this is your chance. VSiN is bringing you an unbeatable